Good afternoon. Welcome to our channel. I am Corinne and this is Goodbye Gluten.
Saying goodbye to gluten does not mean saying goodbye to great food and great taste.
So please like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel. Today we are making a beef stew. It's very simple, easy to make, made with ingredients most of us already have at home, and it will clean some of the leftovers out of the refrigerator. Let's get cooking. Alright, for our beef stew today, I have 3 medium-sized, smallish potatoes. I have some celery, a half an onion, some carrots. That's about 2 full large carrots worth. Some leftover mushrooms, leftover corn. I have some leftover chicken gravy from another meal, and then I have some leftover mashed potatoes. These will work really well towards thickening our stew. And then I have here about a pound and a half of beef stew meat that I got from the grocery store. I don't usually buy stew meat, but it was on sale at a good price. And I'm just cutting the pieces down because you can see how big they are. I'm cutting them down into smaller sizes so they're a little easier to eat. Plus it'll go farther that way. I'm going to heat up my pot to about medium high. I have a cast iron Dutch oven. You want a heavy bottomed pot. I'm going to add about a tablespoon and a half of oil. You want enough so that when you put your meat in, it will coat the bottom of the skillet or bottom of the pan. So we'll let that get good and hot. When the oil is glistening, that's when it's ready to put your meat in. All right, meanwhile, while the pot's heating up, I'm going to dust a little bit of flour over my meat, maybe, a little over a quarter cup. You don't want a lot, but you just want enough to create a little bit of a crust. And I'll just stir this in. You can also use your hands. I just don't want to wash my hands again. You always want to make sure you're washing your hands frequently whenever handling raw meat, because this is a way you can get foodborne illnesses. Moms have all been telling us that for years and years. So you want to get all that flour coated onto the meat. That'll, as I said, put a little crust on the meat, but it'll also thicken your stew. Tell us in the comments, do you like a thick gravy-like stew, or do you like more of a thin soup-like mixture? Let us know. Is ready.
Go.
All right, we'll be adding some spices once we get our meat in. We've got fresh cracked black pepper. We have salt. I like kosher salt. Some basil, some onion powder, and a little dash of ground mustard. That's what we'll be adding today. So now our oil is starting to shimmer. It's ready to add in the meat. Go ahead and put all that flour in. And then make it on a kind of an even coating across the bottom of your pan. And here's the trick. Let it sit there, because what you want to do is put a crust on this. So we'll let that sit for a minute. In the meantime, we'll add a layer of seasoning. So I'll add a pinch of salt, a dash of mustard. You can really add whatever spices you want, whatever flavors you like. If you like things more spicy, you could add some ground chili pepper or red pepper. So it's about a half a teaspoon of everything to start off with. You can always add more. You can't take it out once it's in.
What's better, black pepper or white pepper for a stew?
I think it depends on what you're doing. I personally prefer white pepper, but for a beef, we like a black pepper. And again, this is all to taste. And then after it's sat for a few minutes, you'll know when things start to release that you can give it a kind of a little bit of a stir. You just want to give this a little bit of browning, again, to create a crust. So that took another couple of minutes. All told, we'll brown the meat for about 5 minutes, and then we'll pull it out and put our vegetables in. All right. So now we've got our meat all browned. I've been stirring it periodically. I'm going to take it out, set it aside in a clean dish. Now this meat is not fully cooked. It's not even really halfway cooked. Do not eat it, and well, it's rare, so I guess you could. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna add a little bit more oil. So we've got all these lovely brown bits. Now, we're going to add our vegetables, not the mushrooms. I should have put them in a separate container. We're gonna add our celery, onion, and carrots. And let those get started.
So that's onion, celery, and carrots.
Yes.
So mirepoix.
Yes, the standard mirepoix. I'm going to just give that a quick little stir, kind of bring them up to temperature. So I just remembered that the chicken gravy had some spices and flavors in it that I didn't want compromising my beef stew. We're going to make a quick beef stock. This is a gluten-free beef broth based seasoning. So you want to kind of go light on this. You can, again, always add more. We're going to do a tablespoon in 2 cups of hot water. Dissolve that up. And now we're going to take and pour a little of this, because what we want to do is deglaze the bottom of the pan. So we're pouring a little bit of liquid in to start loosening up those bits. And this is what'll make, you want all those yummy bit things. Works really well also if you throw cold water, or if you have a really nice red wine that you like. You want something a little more dry, not terribly sweet. So pop that in.
That takes about how long?
Just a couple minutes. I mean, you can feel it when you're pulling it up. You can hear it. It all just comes. A lot of it comes right up. You can see when I pull the liquid away that that's coming up nicely. So now, before I add the rest of our liquid, I'm going to put our potatoes in. You always want to add the potatoes before you add hot liquids. They cook best starting in cold liquid and then coming up. I'm going to add the rest of our beef broth and another 2 cups of cold water to cover our vegetables. So I'm going to add some more water here. So it's about 2 cups. And that's putting in our vegetables. And so now, give that a quick stir. We're going to add our meat back in. And you want to be careful. Don't just dump it from the top. You don't want to splash it. Make sure you get all those juices that were there while it was sitting. Make sure everybody's in the pool. And now we'll cover it and let it sit for about 30 minutes until the potatoes are done. All right, so it's been just about 30 minutes. I did stir this a couple of times, as well as turn my burner down to medium. As you can see, it is boiling. Be careful, that lid is really, really hot. This is a good time to give it a stir, as well as check your seasonings, check the taste of the broth. So we'll do that real quick. Just a little bit. Be careful, it is very hot. This is boiling liquid. And that is spot on. You can also check to see if The potatoes are done by sticking them with a fork. You can see that when they break apart, they're not light and fluffy. So these are done. We're ready to add our next ingredients. We're going to add the mushrooms. These don't take very long. You only want them in there for about 5 or 6 minutes. We're also going to add the leftover corn. Soups and stews are a great way to use up leftovers in your refrigerator. So if you have any leftover vegetables in the refrigerator, throw them in the soup pot. They're a great way to get some extra vegetables in your diet. Now, here's the secret ingredient. Leftover mashed potatoes. These will act as a mild thickener. So you just pop them in, and then it goes, and it will add just a little bit of thickening into your broth and make it really rich. If you have leftover gravy that isn't weirdly seasoned, this is another great thing to do. So you just want to stir this up, let it cook for another 5 to 6 minutes until those mashed potatoes are all dissolved. The mushrooms are cooked to the level you want them cooked. I like them cooked a lot. And we'll be ready to serve in just a few minutes. So remember, when you're using a broth base or a bouillon, to make sure it's gluten-free. This one, the Orrington Farms, we get it at Walmart. It's very reasonably priced. It is gluten-free. It says it on the label. Always remember to check your labels because recipes change, as do your ingredients. And what might be gluten-free today may not be gluten-free tomorrow. All right, so this is done. All of the mushrooms are floating. You can see this broth thickened up a little bit. But now we've got all these rich chunks, the sauce. If you want a thicker sauce, you can always add a roux. So some flour and water or a slurry to thicken that up. I tend to like mine a little thinner, more of a broth base. Now it's ready to eat.
Action.
All right, now for a taste. It's still very hot. It's very good, rich and hearty. If you want your meat to be more tender, you can cook it longer. You can also cook this in a crock pot all day, and that will be amazing. Your house will smell awesome. Just remember, saying goodbye to gluten does not mean saying goodbye to good food and good taste. Good eating.